Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So today I've got probably one of the scariest topics that I've talked about on this channel in a long time. It looks like California is now red flagging people or serving extreme risk protection orders against people and confiscating their firearms who don't even live in California. You might think that this is fake, this is real, and we're going to talk about it today. So let's get to it. Now, speaking of California, post-Bruin, there are a lot of new people getting their carry permits for the very first time. And let me tell you, you do not want to go it alone. If you carry to defend yourself or your loved ones, you need to get attorneys on retainer, and I'll put a link down below. Attorneys on retainer is not some big blown-up company that uses a third-party insurance company that's filled with a bunch of bean counters that will determine whether or not they're going to cover your claim. Sometimes a self-defense scenario doesn't work out exactly like you would imagine, and you could be the one that ends up in handcuffs. And I don't want to be speaking to some guy at an insurance company for that. With attorneys on retainer, they are attorneys. So when you give them a call, you're speaking to an attorney on the phone, your first contact, which gives you instant attorney-client privilege. It is absolutely priceless to have in your wallet. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. And I want to give full credit to the armed attorneys here on YouTube for breaking this story. I'm not sure if this person is actually a client of theirs, but it was so shocking that I decided to do my own research and see if there's any safeguards in California if somebody was to file one of these things, if there's any safeguards that protect people in other states. And what I found out is there's not. There's no safeguards. As a matter of fact, the only thing that you really have to rely on is the fact that they may not have jurisdiction in the state where you reside. However, that doesn't stop the initial process, which could absolutely screw you over still. Okay, so here's what's going on. So you got a guy in Texas who was red flagged by California. Okay, this guy has not been to California in some time, but he has a family member there. A family member who is apparently schizophrenic. This family member decides that they're going to file one of these extreme risk protection orders against the man in Texas. They go and they fill out the form, and the form is very easy. I went to check it out online. It's basically just a bunch of check boxes, and you can put, your information there, and the person, the respondent's information there. You put, whatever you think it is that they already own. You put why you want them to be disarmed and all that stuff. But it's fairly easy, and just about anybody can do it. I mean, if you go look at the list of people who can file one of these against you, the list is extremely long, from teachers that you might have had, somebody who lived with you over any time during the last 6 months. I mean, it's a very long list of people who can file these against you. It doesn't just have to be somebody who is a family member, but nonetheless, this family member goes in, fills out all that information very easily, turns it in. There's no fee, no lawyer involved, nothing like that. You don't need any of that in California. They don't charge you anything. And then guess what? The ERPO actually goes through. They filed an ERPO and approved it against somebody who didn't live in the state of California. Again, the guy who lives in Texas, hasn't been to California in forever. Well, you might be thinking to yourself, how is that actually possible? Because they don't have jurisdiction in Texas, right? This is a California state law. Well, the problem here is that even if they don't have jurisdiction, the guy was still served in Texas with this red flag. So that is now on his record in the state of California. That gets fed into the NICS system, and now guess who can't go and get anything from the shop because a red flag pops up in NICS? Yeah, the guy in Texas. Now, the main issue here, and why this could apply to anybody who is not currently a resident of the state of California, is that when a person goes to file for one of these orders in California and they pull up that document, there is nothing on that document that actually says that the person that you're filing against must be a resident of the state of California. There is a spot for the person who is filing the order to put their information. There is a spot for the respondent's information, so the person that it's getting filed against, you have to put their name and their address. So obviously that would show that they are a resident of a different state if they're out of state. But it doesn't say that they must be a resident of the state of California. And while, again, they may not have jurisdiction in the rest of the country because of this state law, that doesn't mean that they can't cause absolute havoc with your rights. If this gets filed, and again, it goes through the NICS system, the next time you go into the shop, you're going to be surprised. Now, they're going to serve you with it. You're still going to get the letter and all of that stuff, and you're still supposed to respond to it, and it's going to cost money. You're probably going to have to get a lawyer. You're going to have to fight back against it and say, hey, look, you guys don't have jurisdiction. I have not visited California. I have not been to California. You know, you guys don't have jurisdiction to do this. But the problem with the red flag is that everything happens before you know about it, right? You are the last person to find out that you've had one of these protective orders filed against you. So it basically goes from the person who is filing it, then it goes to the judge, and then if the judge approves it, then you get served afterwards, and all of this stuff has already happened to you. So again, you as the person being accused are the last person to find out about this. And again, at that point, it's already been reported. And because, like I said before, so many people can file these, it doesn't just need to be a relative. It means that that could even apply to more people outside of the state of California. But it just so happened to be a relative in this case. And I find this to be one of the most terrifying things that I have looked up. You're telling me now that California has created a law that is clearly unconstitutional to begin with, right? That takes somebody's Second Amendment rights away before they even had a chance for due process, and have not been convicted of absolutely anything. When we're talking about this person hasn't even had their time in court, right? So they haven't been convicted of anything, but they're willing to take their rights away from their citizens. And now what we're saying is that it's happening to people outside of California, even if they don't have jurisdiction, because California knows how to play that game. They know that this is going to cause a ton of problems for somebody, and somebody might not even have the resources to fight back against it. And so it ends up in NICS. It's going to cost you thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars if you want to try and get all of this stuff removed from the system, or, you know, you try and fight back against it, or maybe you have to go to California or something like that. It costs more money than most people have. People don't have that kind of disposable income, especially these days. And so the ability to fight it is nearly zero. And so this is a massive issue. Again, I believe this is the first case that I've seen. I don't have many details other than what was in the armed attorney's video, but it was so big that I decided to take a look at the actual document and really read through it to see if it applied only to Californians, and it does not. It applies to, well, it could apply to anybody, even if you don't have jurisdiction. Again, they can still file the order. The judge can still approve the order, even if you're not a resident, which to me is absolutely mind-blowing and something that people need to pay attention to, because to be honest with you, this is one of the big things that people had been talking about, is that once you start setting these things up, once you start allowing red flags to stand, you're going to start seeing that system be abused, because that's what they really want. They want to disarm as many people as possible. They want to confiscate as much as possible, because that's their ultimate end goal. And if they can work around the law in order to do that, then that's what they're going to do. And that's what we have here. So again, I just thought this was a huge story. You guys should definitely go over there and check out their video as well, because I thought it was extremely informative, you know, and they know what they're talking about. But this should be something that everybody is talking about, because any other state that doesn't say you must be a resident, you know, the person you're filing against must be a resident, the same thing can happen from that state. So just like New York with their very easy system that anybody can fill out, they can file it against somebody else as well. Anyway, something for you guys to think about, and something for you guys to be aware about as well. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.